Welcome to Spill the Trauma, Keep the Drama. I'm your host, Kayla. I do just want to give you guys a quick reminder that I am not a licensed professional, and if you are seeking mental health help, you should reach out to a licensed professional. If you need help with resources or finding someone, you can always hit me up in my DMs on Instagram. My handle there is Spill the Trauma, Keep the Drama. In today's episode, I'll be sharing my personal experiences with self-love, body image, body dysmorphia, challenges with food, and emotional abuse. These topics may be sensitive or triggering for some listeners, so please take care of yourself while listening. If you need to pause or skip this episode, that's completely okay. Your well-being comes first. So I'm sure I'm not the only one, but in middle school, I was bullied, especially in the 6th grade, and it got really bad and it was really brutal. I remember I would lie to my parents and tell them I was sick so I wouldn't have to go into school, and it got really bad. I think I remember getting a report card back saying I missed like 30 days of school, and I didn't learn this until later on, but apparently we were all bullying each other, which is insane. But also I think administration noticed because we had this thing called Challenge Day in 7th grade. Challenge Day was this thing where they took us out of class for like 3 periods. They had us all sit on the gymnasium floor and encouraged us to stand up and share the challenges we were going through. Some of us were facing bullying, some of us had problems at home, and then others were just struggling with being a teenager, which is so understandable because being a teenager sucked. We did have one Mean Girls moment where one girl who completely missed the point stood up and apologized for being so popular. She was like acting like Gretchen Wieners, and we still laugh about it to this day. But besides that, the assembly was a turning point, at least for me. People realized that their actions had consequences. It was a really emotional and honestly a little overwhelming day for 12-year-olds. And don't get me wrong, we still did have bullying because let's face it, middle schoolers suck. But 7th grade was also a turning point for me because I met my people. I met people that showed me what unconditional love is, and they let me be unapologetically me. Don't get me wrong, they still did and do roast me, but they did it with love, and I do want to give a quick shout out to Julie and Melissa for showing me what unconditional love was then, and they still do to this day. And I am so grateful for them every single day because they just let me be me, and they are the best. So that was middle school. In high school, I found makeup, and I remember waking up every day at 5 a.m. to do my makeup before school. And I remember makeup just making me feel more confident and more myself, and I loved it. And I loved waking up at 5 a.m. to do my makeup, and I loved how girly it was, and I just loved everything about it. I was also a selfie queen back then, and I was now I look back and I cringe so much looking back at those pictures and posts. But I also see this girl who loved herself and didn't care what anyone else thought, and she was just so free-spirited and so bright, and so she was really loud too, and I really missed that girl. You might be wondering what happened to her. The truth is, she was relentlessly bullied. The bullying was disguised as caring about how I present myself or telling me the truth because my friends wouldn't. But it was constant comments about my weight, my hair, my makeup, and all these comments chipped away at my self-esteem and self-worth. Eventually, I hated the way I looked. Looking in the mirror was painful. I didn't really realize how bad it was until one day in college we were dropping one of my friends home, and he usually was this really talkative person, but that day he got really quiet and uncomfortable, and I was just enduring her comments because I was used to it at that point, and it didn't really it's not that it didn't get to me, I just was used to her behavior, so it didn't strike me as weird, I guess. But he got out of the car and he texted me right away, and he was like, does she always talk to you like that? Why is she bullying you? And at the time I was like, she's not bullying me, that's just her being her. And looking back now, she was just berating me and bullying me. It's crazy how when you're so used to a behavior, you normalize it. The person I needed the most to show me unconditional love and support, the person I needed to tell me I was beautiful inside and out, was doing the opposite. Like I said, she berated me, she called me dumb, she called me stupid, worthless, a loser. She told me I'd never amount to anything. She said I was the reason why, that she had nothing good in her life. She called me a burden, and it wasn't just her. She got the entire family in on it. My cousins, my brothers, my grandparents, they all made unnecessary comments about my weight. No one ever considered that I was born with hypothyroidism, which is not an excuse, but a legitimate medical reason for my weight to fluctuate. They called me a whale, they called me heavy, ugly, and so many other hurtful things, all under the guise of caring about my health. And if I ever cried or got upset, I was being too sensitive. The bullying didn't just affect my self-esteem, it also gave me a really bad relationship with food. She would constantly comment on my weight, calling me fat, telling me I needed to lose weight. It got to the point where I started starving myself, convinced that if I could be thinner, I'd be worthy of love and respect. I still struggle with body dysmorphia. Body dysmorphia is so crazy because I've always been a gym rat, or like not a gym rat because I don't go every day anymore, but I do love going to the gym. But I've been going to the gym since I was in high school. And I remember I would come home from like a gym session and I would feel really good about myself because I would be like seeing progress. I'd be looking in the mirror and feeling good about myself. And then she'd make a comment like my arms look too big or my stomach is sticking out or something like that. Within seconds, I'd go from seeing a healthy girl and seeing the progress to seeing a balloon in the mirror. It's like heartbreaking to think about now. And it's honestly also really difficult to like go from feeling like you made progress to feeling like nothing's going on, nothing's happening at all. And like, it's also crazy because since I went no contact, yeah, she got other people to make comments too, but she was like the main person making those comments. So once I went no contact, I've had considerably less episodes, but I do still struggle sometimes with episodes of like going from like seeing like this healthy version of me to seeing something that's not there. And it's something I'm working on. If you're struggling with your relationship to food or body image, please know that you're not alone. It's so hard to unlearn the toxic messages we've internalized, but it's necessary. Reach out for help, whether it's a therapist, a trusted friend, or a support group. Healing's not easy, but it's worth it. Everyone deserves to feel comfortable in their own skin. That happy girl who took selfies and posted without a care in the world, she was emotionally and mentally beaten down until she only came out once a week, then once a month, and then not at all. I had a really difficult time with self-love. I'm hard on myself when things go wrong, and I overanalyze everything from outfits to conversations. Did I say the right thing? Do I look frumpy in this? That free spirit who used to sing and laugh and be silly and loud, I miss her. While I was being mercilessly bullied, I was also being financially neglected, but that's a story for another episode. Long story short, my grandma would buy me my basic necessities like shampoo, conditioner, face wash, and even makeup. But I was always told the narrative that made me spoiled for asking her to buy me things. It took therapy for me to realize that I was just having my basic needs met. But I did internalize that me asking for the bare minimum was too much, and I am still working on that as well. All that is to say that I was never taught self-love and self-care. It's taken me 26 years, but I'm finally getting the hang of it, and it feels amazing. It can be embarrassing when you're older and people call you out for not taking care of yourself properly. I wish I had someone to guide me through things, but if no one ever mentions something to you, then how are you supposed to know any better? You just go through life being unaware. The long-term effects of emotional abuse are so real, and they don't just go away overnight. For me, one of the hardest things has been learning how to handle criticism. When someone I love criticizes me, my mind still jumps to the worst place. I react defensively and it causes fights. I'm learning to take a step back and ask myself, does this person care about me? Is the criticism coming from a genuine, loving place, or is it just meant to put me down? It's still hard for me to decipher sometimes because the person who was supposed to love me unconditionally used criticism as a weapon to tear me down. That makes it difficult for me to recognize when someone genuinely loves and cares about me. but I'm learning. I'm learning to trust myself, to trust the people who truly love me, and to let go of the fear that every critique is an attack. I'm proud to say that while I still struggle and taking compliments is still difficult for me, I've come a long way from the beaten down girl. Recently, especially after meditating and healing so many broken parts of me through like shadow work and therapy, I've been feeling a lot closer to her. As cliche as it sounds, healing's not a straight line. Some days I feel like, damn, I love myself. I love how strong I am. I feel that princessy energy and I feel like I am that bitch. But then other days I feel bloated, I feel gross, I feel like my hair looks like a rat's nest. And on those days I just feel like a bitch. Not every day is going to be perfect. Loving yourself on the good days is easy, but loving yourself on the bad days is difficult, but it's necessary. Listen, I'm going to be straight with you. Not every day is going to be easy. And I know this firsthand because when I did hate myself, I remember it being such a struggle to do the self-affirmations and to do them and say them with conviction. It was so hard because I would say the affirmation and I would literally cringe. But like you have to like repeatedly do them and get through that cringing to heal yourself. It's literally rewiring your brain when you deal with like so much emotional abuse like that. As hard as it is and as much work as it is, I think it's so worth it because now I say the affirmations and I say them with pride and I do believe them now. Healing can be so messy, but when you come out on the other end, you feel so much better. If you're on this journey too, I see you. You're not alone, and let's keep growing, healing, and learning to love ourselves one day at a time. So this is the segment of the show I like to call the drama beyond the drama, where we talk about what's happening in the world and how we can navigate it all without losing our minds. The last few months have been a lot. One day we're hearing whispers about World War III, the next we're worrying about layoffs, our rights being taken away, or just trying to keep up with the endless news cycles. Honestly, it's really overwhelming and it's okay to admit that. So here's my advice. It's more than okay to take a step back. Turn off the news, log out of social media, and give yourself permission to breathe. Media breaks aren't just self-care, they're survival. We can't pour from an empty cup, and we can't fight for change or take care of ourselves if we're completely burnt out. So if you're feeling the weight of the world right now, know that you're not alone. And also remember, it's not selfish to take care of yourself. It's necessary. Let's try to take it one day at a time together. If you're struggling with any of the topics I talked about today and need someone to listen, feel free to reach out to me. My handle on Instagram is Spill the Trauma, Keep the Drama. As much as I love yapping, I've also been told I'm a really good listener. I hope you guys are enjoying these episodes. If you have any suggestions about what you'd like me to talk about next or anything like that, hit me up as well. Until next time, when we spill more trauma.